This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. This is it's April 8th. It's a few minutes after 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, and this is the virtual pre-proposal conference for the Lincoln County RFP for architectural, planning, and engineering services for the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. My name is Jerry Herbige. I'm more formally listed on the RFP as M. Gerard Herbige. It's the same people, same person. And I am the Capital Projects Manager and Representative. And with me is Janet Harrison, along with County Counsel for Lincoln County Wayne Belmont and a panel of Lincoln County officials and employees who will be introduced shortly and will be answering questions. I'll keep this short, but I'd like to briefly talk about the procedure. Um, First, as I mentioned before, this pre-proposal conference is being recorded. And so this will be nice. It will be posted online at the site where you would have found the RFP. And Janet will send out a link to all participants. Um, Janet will start with listing the questions one by one that were submitted in advance of this conference, and the panel will respond to those questions. And then what we'll do is Janet will call on each pre-proposal conference registrant to ask or to allow them to ask additional questions and for the panel to respond to those questions. When you are called on, we ask that you speak clearly and concisely so that all can hear and the dialogue can be clearly recorded. If you are not speaking, and please make note of this, please mute your microphone, and that will help with this proceeding for sure. You can tell, as I can tell, which is probably good, we have many participants in today's pre-conference. So we would ask that you limit your questions, ask the most important ones first, and understand that we may need to limit questions so that all participants can ask their questions and that we can complete this in a reasonable amount of time. At this point, I would ask the panel members to please introduce yourselves by name and to give a little background about yourself. Thank you.
How about Jerry, if I started off?
Okay,
Um,
that sounds great.
sure. My name is Wayne Belmont. I'm Lincoln County Counsel. I've been with Lincoln County for almost 35 years. Done a number of projects on behalf of the county and served in a lot of capacities during my time here. Lincoln County does not have a county administrator, so I take on a number of those particular functions and have been intimately involved in putting together the package for this proposal with Mr. Herbige and excuse me, and others, and will be part of the team that will be overseeing the project and hopefully being able to answer some of your questions. And Jerry, I'm not sure if you were going to give an overview of the project and the project site before we entertain any of those questions, but if you don't want to do that, I'd be happy to do that for you when we get to
Yeah,
that point.
if you would like to do that, fine. I think it would be good for since we just started here for the other panel members to introduce themselves as
That
well.
makes sense. All right, I'll stop there.
I'll go next, I guess. I'm Curtis Landers. I'm the Lincoln County Sheriff. I've been with the county for 33 years. And the reason why the Sheriff's Office is here is because the animal shelter is under the Sheriff's Office in Lincoln County. So thank you all for being here.
I am Roy Kenyon, Lincoln County Public Works Director. I've also been with the county for 33 years. And this facility will come under the maintenance responsibilities of the Facilities Department for Lincoln County, which is one of the departments I oversee.
And my name is Jack Whaley. I am the facilities manager for Lincoln County. And when Roy says it belongs to facilities, that'd be me.
Hello, my name is Steve Hodge. I'm the county engineer. Basically have a lot of experience with the infrastructure within the county, roads, bridges, that kind of thing.
And I'm Laura Ireland, separate from the video meeting. So I'm the animal shelter director, and I've been here for 11 years.
Thank you. And so, Wayne, would you like to give a brief overview, and then we'll get to the questions?
Sure, and I'm not going to try and repeat what's in the RFP itself, especially around the purpose statements and what we're doing. But in essence, what we're doing is relocating the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. It's currently in a temporary facility. Our old animal shelter had a number of structural and construction problems with it. We actually tore down a facility, built an interim facility, which is currently located in central Newport on the Lincoln County Commons property, or the fairgrounds as it's more commonly known. And we are looking to relocate this facility to a new site, an expanded site, actually moving from a fairly constricted footprint for the shelter to an area that will encompass about 5 acres, just south of Newport. So it's keeping with one of our goals, which is to keep the facility itself centrally located. It's off of US Highway 101 and adjacent to the Newport Municipal Airport. I want to stress that location for a couple of reasons. Number one is I think it gives us some real opportunities as we look at the kinds of facilities we want to both plan some baseline facilities that we want to construct now, but also have opportunities for expansion sometime in the future. It gives us a lot of room for potential growth in that area. Its location next to 101 and the airport will present some, I think, I'm not going to say challenges, but aspects of site location that will have to be incorporated into the design for the facility. There will be certain kinds of noise issues, especially actually from my own experience, much more so from Highway 101 than from the airport, but both will have to be considered. I want to stress this one first, and this is something we will be looking at every single one of the proposals and proposers. Your experience here is this is the Oregon coast. So it has to be designed to withstand the strictures of the weather for the Oregon coast. This is not the kind of facility you build 3 miles inland, not the kind of facility you build in the valley or other parts of Oregon. And I found that to be somewhat of a challenge with professionals who don't have experience building in a coastal environment. That means wind and rain to a degree that you, it's unless you actually experience it, you don't know what that means. But we will be looking very carefully at any design we do for the facility to make sure that it can withstand the weather that's endemic to the Oregon coast. There are some opportunities, again, because of the size and location of the site, to look at amenities, not just for the facility itself, but outside the facility, included some wooded areas and some additional flat but undeveloped land. This particular area currently has sufficient water capacity based on some changes that the city of Newport made very recently to expand water service in that area, but it is in an area that is not currently served by sewer. Eventually, their plan is to, there's an urban renewal district that extends down below the airport that includes a plan to extend sewer at some point in the future out there. But we will have to be designing on-site waste management services for this particular property. So we'll have to have somebody look at the nature of the soils in that area to help us design a waste management system that is both adequate for the facility we want to do in any expansion, but also takes into account the soil conditions on that site. In terms of the overall plan of what we're doing here, because this is located on property currently owned by the city of Newport, and we will actually be entering into a long-term lease with the city for this facility. The city is very excited about it, having relocating it to this location, so they're being very helpful and supportive of our efforts here. But we will have to meet the requirements of the airport master plan, which will have some implications for the design, mostly in lines of the heights of any kinds of facilities that are located out in the area. But we'll have to look at all the requirements of the airport master plan, as well as the City of Newport comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance to meet this. And it does require the preparation and successful completion of a conditional use permit. Once we get that process done, we want to move on with the selected consultants, obviously, to the final design of the facility and put it out for actual bid and construction as articulated by Jerry Herbage in the RFP documents here. So I'm going to stop there. I think that's a good background, and I'm sure that will probably generate some additional questions from those we've had, and then turn it back over to Jerry and Janet, and let's go through the questions, unless there's any initial questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Wayne. Let's go to the questions. We have some in writing, and Janet, why don't you go ahead and start with those?
Janet, for some reason, we're not hearing you. I know I see your microphone's on, but we're not hearing you. Hold on just a minute, because Janet's actually in an office that's fairly near mine. Let me go next door and see what's going on there. We'll be right back. Hold on for a minute, please.
Okay, hello. Can people hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Now we can hear you.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
perfect.
Loud and clear.
Yep, sorry about that. I apologize. We use this room for a different variety of technology, and so we just needed to get the right one on there. But can everybody see the questions up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't remember what I said when I was muted, but basically we were going to read through these questions first. I'll read them and the panel will answer as we go along. And then we'll open up for everybody at the end. I'll be calling off your names so you can ask questions at that point. So first of all, this is from, the first question is from Bill Daggett at shelterplanners.com. They specialize in animal welfare analysis, programming and design. Planning to team with an Oregon architectural firm for the project. That project will be the architect of record, and because of the extensive experience with animal shelter design, we will be involved throughout as a specialist consultant. May we be the submitter of the RFP response given this arrangement, or must the registered Oregon architect be the submitter? So Wayne?
Yes, and that's a great question. Obviously, you can be part of the team, and we'd welcome a proposal that includes that kind of skill set as part of the team. We would like to actually have the architect submit the proposal because the end result will be utilizing these particular services. We need to get down to where we can have a finished product that we can place out to bid, submit it to the building department here in Newport, get all of the building permits approved, and then proceed with construction. So our preference would be to have that actually with the architect taking the lead.
Wayne, that was my question. Just wanted to clarify, the issue has to do with who does the actual submitting. So to answer my question, you would like the Oregon registered architect.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right, Bill. Thanks.
Okay, and then the second question, there is no reference in the RFP to analysis and or building programming. Normally, these are an integral part of animal shelter design. Do you anticipate our developing an analysis of the current situation, needs assessment study, with projections into the future to be sure that the new shelter A meets the mission and needs of Lincoln County, and B will be of sufficient size and scope to meet future needs for 10 to 20 years?
And I guess I can try to answer that one too. That should be incorporated into the design here. Obviously, what I should point out up front so everybody understands this is we're not actually designing the dream facility and then trying to figure out how much money we've got or what, how much money it's going to cost to build it. We've actually got a set budget for this particular project. So it's going to have to be designed both in terms of prioritizing services and facilities, and then looking at future expansion with that project budget in mind. And just to give everybody a heads up of what that is, we've got about $2.75 million total for the project. And I say that, that's a grand total. That's for all of our consultant services, everything in terms of constructing the facility. We have separate funding established for actually the property itself. Again, we're entering into a long-term lease if this particular site is finalized and chosen. And that is separate money, does not part of that, the project funding that we have here. So it's really going to be a combination of those things, Bill, in terms of we do want analysis and information in terms of making our long range plans, but it's got to also be a facility that fits within our budget.
Okay, the third question, we were engaged in 2012 by Laura Ireland to submit an existing conditions report. That report covered 2 years of data and listed a total of 1,050 animals. The RFP suggests current annual intake is 1,100, which is only marginally greater than 2012, of which 24 were large and small animals other than dogs and cats. Does current data confirm this ratio?
Laura, why don't you answer that one?
Sure. Yeah, our annual data has been fairly steady for the last 11 years at about 1,100 animals, and we do primarily work with dogs and cats. We are the only shelter in the entire county, and there aren't other rescues or humane societies, so we are kind of the one stop where everybody goes. So we have rabbits, birds, sometimes reptiles, chickens, the occasional potbelly pig. But we do primarily work with dogs and cats. And, to say too, I mean, in our current facility, our intake is it's down to only like 600 animals. I think we are managed intake. So we do things by appointment. There are some legal requirements for us to bring animals in right away. So there probably is a little bit higher of a demand than the 1,100 that we do, but I think, not much past 1,500.
Okay.
And that's it. If I could,
Go ahead.
And if I could just address a little bit about question 2 as well. We did do a building planning study in 2013. So we do have some background information that we can share with who has been selected. With that contract, we're not able to make that public, but we can share that with whoever is selected.
Okay, and then number 4, in 2012, Ms. Ireland also completed our programming questionnaire, which covers a variety of mission-related subjects. Her responses indicated that Lincoln County desired to include spay-neuter services, euthanasia, cremation services, pet training, and a dog park. Are these still slated for inclusion in the project?
I can try and answer that. And again,
Okay.
I'll use the parameter of, obviously we're going to have to, with Laura, other stakeholders that are involved in this particular process, we're going to have to prioritize our mission-related subjects. What do we want to do now with the facility, with the funds we have? What are our baseline services? What would we like to see potentially in the future? So I think, again, what we did not have at that time when we were doing this was any kind of indication of what kind of funding we'd have available for the project. So given the overarching funding availability on this thing, I think it's going to be something we'll have to re-examine with the team here in terms of what our priorities are.
Okay. How long do you believe the conditional use permitting process will take once the phase 1 design work is complete and approved?
This is Jerry Herbage, and if it's okay, I'll comment briefly. Under Oregon law, once a application for a permit is submitted to a city, that's ORS 227-178. Generally, a city must process the application in 120 days. However, I believe that we will try to get this expedited, and I think it's the county's hope that we can get through the process in about 90 days.
Okay. From Nathan Arling at Elevate BCX, will Lincoln County be utilizing an independent building commissioning provider for the project as part of the engineering services?
This is Wayne. I can, obviously we will look at something in terms of the county team for this particular project. We will obviously have a person or a hired consultant who will be our project manager, owner's representative from our side of it. This project, given the size right now, it is not something that is subject to the 1.5% green energy requirements for public buildings in Oregon. My understanding is the threshold for that is a $5 million project, which would make somewhat of a difference, I think, if we had that component actually built into the project. I guess what I would like to hear from the proposers is how they're going to handle this. This is always, in the past when we've dealt with these things, this has been part of the ongoing obligation of the contractor and the engineering architect team is to make sure that facility components work and test them and make sure they do work. So whether or not this is a project that is large enough for us to do a formal building commissioning process, we haven't decided that yet, but we will be looking into that.
Okay, from Cheryl Dorman at Anisi Group. Section 1.1 of the RFP states, 2, if the conditional use process is successful and other conditions precedent are resolved, including the execution of a lease on the subject property, the project will move into phase 2, which will include detailed plans, designs, and construction administration services for the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. And the question is, will you consider an owner's representative or project management firm to provide the construction administration services once the project moves into phase 2 or even prior?
And the answer to that is yes.
Okay, and then we have another question from the same Anisi group, which is Terry Miller asked, do you know if you will be seeking a project management firm to assist with the project?
What I can't tell you is whether or not that the owner's representative will, obviously there'll be someone assigned from the county as well as potentially an outside firm that does project management.
Okay, from Parrish Burns at Harper Hoof Peterson and Regelis Inc. Not sure if I have that right. Extensive stakeholder and community input is anticipated for phase 1. Does staff plan to lead this public involvement process, or would you like the consultant to include public involvement work in the proposal? If consultant services are utilized, would you like the consultant to develop an outreach plan and stakeholder list, or simply assist in implementing a public involvement plan established by the agency?
At this point, I think what we would like to do is make this a cooperative process. So that one's a little bit more difficult at this point to answer. What we'll want to do is see what the skill set and what the services are offered by the selected consultant. We are going to need some assistance in terms of putting the process together, but we also, we have a pretty good idea of who the stakeholders are and can develop the lists and bring people to the table. So I think that's to be decided in terms of who the selected provider is going to be, but we will need some assistance in that process, yes.
Has the county researched case studies on animal shelter design and the elements, amenities that create environments that reduce kennel stress in sheltered animals that would be shared with the awarded team? If not, would you like the proposer to include a budget to conduct this research through expert interviews with animal behavior experts in the field?
And Laura had indicated that there was some work done earlier on in terms of the design. I'm not sure that it actually focused on kennel stress, but that's obviously a concern. That will be a concern. And Laura indicated we can share the information we do have and what was developed to this point here. But I'm sure that will be, we'll be looking for someone to give us some additional, options and ideas in terms of that, the kennel stress issues. That's definitely something we want to be looking at. And Laura, would you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we have some connection with people that are in the field that can help with this. So I don't think that there would need to be a separate budget for that. But of course, yeah, I mean, we'll certainly be looking at soundproofing and up-to-date kennel design. But so we don't need any kind of outside experts, I don't believe.
Okay, the purpose statement indicates that Lincoln County will prepare the conditional use permit application with proposer's assistance. What level of assistance is envisioned? And then there's, for context, here's a list of common tasks involved in shepherding land use applications through the approval process. Prepare the written statement of findings that outlines compliance with all relevant development standards and discretionary approval criteria. Coordinate with the design team disciplines to identify and troubleshoot solutions for elements that do not meet approval criteria. review plans to ensure consistency between design disciplines and with code standards for the land use application, track required application materials, including service provider letters and technical reports, schedule neighborhood meetings when required, compile and submit the land use application, serve as the point of contact for tracking the status and any questions on the land use application.
That's a very comprehensive list of services. We don't need all those services. Actually, Lincoln County will prepare the actual conditional use application. We'll submit the application to the city of Newport. What we'll need, of course, is to review both the airport master plan, the city of Newport comprehensive plan, and the zoning ordinance to make sure that any of the technical requirements that are required under those particular codes and plans are met. And that will involve, normally there's going to be the submission of drawings which will identify major uses and footprints of those uses, is my understanding, the way the city requires it at the airport. And so we'll have to be far enough along in the process to be able to identify those particular elements of the submission. And anything that's going to require any kinds of drawings or calculations or anything like that, we'd look to the proposer to help us put together those supporting materials. But we will make the application. It will require a public hearing before I think this is one that requires a public hearing. Jerry, maybe you know a little bit more about that at this point. But if it does require a public hearing, for the conditional use permit, then we would want to have somebody who's available for those meetings on the hearing. So it'll be a joint effort, but the county will take the lead on submitting the application.
Okay, so that's all the questions that we had that were submitted in advance. So now I'm going to just go randomly through the people who contacted us, and then after I go through that list, we'll ask if there's anybody on there who whose name hasn't been called. So the first one that I have here is Ron Stillmaker. Do you have any questions? And be sure to unmute yourself.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Kim De Alba, do you have any questions?
Hi there. No, I do not. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lee Kirsch, any questions?
Hi, yeah, I'm with LA Kirsch in Eugene. I just had a question that came to mind as others were talking. Are there any, is there any potential for this being a small business set aside or a veterans set aside project?
Not to my knowledge, but if you have information related to those that you think we might qualify, I'd love to hear it.
Thank you.
Okay, Nicole Strong. Is Nicole here with any questions? Nope. Okay, how about Christine Sandel? Is Christine here? Doesn't look like it. Christopher Keene. Is Christopher Keene here with any questions? Nope. Nathan Ehring. Is Nathan here?
I am. No questions for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ricky Dietz. Do we have Ricky Dietz online?
Hi, yes, I have no questions at this time either. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Parrish Burns.
Hi, it's Parrish Burns. You read my questions. Can I ask just for clarification? I'm a land use planner with Harper Hoff Peterson Regalis. We're a multidisciplinary engineering firm. We'd be looking to partner with an architect. I do a lot of land use reviews in Oregon and different jurisdictions, and typically conditional use reviews have an extensive written report that needs to be compiled and written, where you're taking out all of the code language that's applicable to that zone, that master plan, along with the discretionary approval criteria, and writing findings to support approval. So is it my understanding that the county wants to do that document, or is that the level of assistance that you would want from your consultant?
No, the county could be doing that document, but we would probably need some assistance from the consultants, though, in terms of responding to some of the questions, but we'd be responsible for actually preparing the document.
So help writing in isolated areas.
Yes.
Great.
That's a good way to put it.
Great.
Okay, next is Terry Miller here on the line? Terry
Terry
Miller
is
and
not on the
Cheryl
line.
Dorman are both from NEC Group. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. Sorry, Terry is not on the line. She couldn't join today, so she asked me to join instead. I don't believe I have any other questions. All my questions have been answered, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And Scott Stolarczyk?
No questions.
Okay.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Gregory Fritz?
Yes, Greg Fritz here with PBS Engineering and Environmental. I'm sorry, I actually have not had a kind of browse through the RFP. I kind of got sent to this last minute. Geotechnical services, when you say soil testing, is that what you're referring to? And would that be procured through the architect?
Yes, we want the consultants to provide those services to, again, we have to design some kind of on-site sewage management system. And so whatever testing is necessary, soil testing, whatever is necessary to both determine what kind of system will be in there and its capacity to meet our needs will have to be determined by the consultant.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Okay, and William Daggett, do you have any further questions?
No, you answered my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tyler Richelieu? Is Tyler here? I don't see that he's here. Sarah Drenzek?
Hi, no further questions, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Ben Bliss?
Hi, I have a couple questions about the standard contract provided in the RFP, and I was wondering, they're a little bit technical, so this might not be the right forum. Is it okay to email you those questions and get them confirmed? It's like insurance type stuff.
Sure, you can email them to Jerry, but what we will do is if we're giving information that clarifies something, we'll post it on the website for everybody to see.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the list that I have from the people who emailed requests for the links, but I see that there are some other names on here, which is fine. Would any of you who haven't been called on like to ask any questions?
Hi, Alexi Mavison with Scott Edwards Architecture. Just wondering, because I didn't see a schedule outlined in the RFP. Are you thinking that, do you have a rough idea of when design would start?
It's going to be dependent on a couple things. Because we have to go through this phase one process of actually making sure we can get the conditional use permit out there. So a lot of at least some of the rough design is going to have to occur right up front in order to get us the information we need to get the conditional use permit. And again, as Jerry indicated, the Oregon law provides us with 120 days from the date we make an application. We hope to get it done sooner than that. And so we're probably looking out in early to mid-summer to really do or maybe towards late summer now that I look at it, the dates here, to really do the detailed design work.
Thank you.
Okay, so that looks like everybody has had a chance, so I'll hand this back to Jerry to wrap up unless there's anyone that has any final questions. Sounds like we're good. Okay, Jerry, it's all yours now.
Thank you very much. Well, that's my point is I very much appreciate all of you participating, both the interested proposers and our panel people. As we said, we've recorded this, so it will be available. It will be posted online, and Janet, and I very much appreciate your help. It will be sent to you as a link. And if there are no further questions, I wish everybody have a good rest of the day, and we'll wait to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.